In the festering bowels of the D&D community, there is an uneasiness as old as the bones of the earth. Casters versus marshals. A primordial debate that refuses to let go of this mortal coil. But these two factions have an uneasy alliance. The casters being living artillery weapons made of sponge cake that use their magic to destroy their foes, annihilating whatever the DM decides to throw at them this week.
Does that thing have a bunghole for a face?
And the marshals, though less mighty, act as sturdy bulwarks for the casters, because marshals can pull the aggression of their enemies and act as stronger tanks than the casters.
Well, marshals have a hard time acting as tanks. But how is that true? They have more health and generally more AC, so how are they bad tanks? Okay, so let's say an orc is standing next to a fighter, and the orc wants to go whack the squishy bard. The orc runs away toward the bard, and the fighter takes an attack of opportunity, cutting the orc. The orc takes some damage, but the orc isn't deterred, so he rolls up to the bard and gives him a stone-cold stunner. The fighter isn't exactly holding the line here. Now, to be fair, there are some decent subclasses that can tank pretty well, like Cavalier or Psy Warrior. They have some pretty good options to keep damage off other people. Cavalier can staple people to the ground, and Psy Warrior can use their big brain to cover you in an invisible barrier. Though I do think you get these abilities a bit too late in the game. There are other subclasses that can use their reaction to reduce damage for yourself and other creatures. Beast Barbarian and Spirit Barbarians get something like that, but the issue is you can only reduce the damage of a single attack because you only get a single reaction. As soon as creatures get multiple attacks, this dramatically drops in usefulness. And barring Cavalier's staple ability and the Sentinel feat, none of these abilities make the bad guys focus their attacks on Mr. Meaty Tin Can. Why attack the dude barely dealing any damage when I can go attack the anemic-looking Jimi Hendrix who is currently turning the dragon into a frog? I feel like one of these is more important to focus on. The guy with the loot just turned our boss into an amphibian. Why should I attack the metal garbage can with a pointy stick? There is no tactical incentive to do so. And we will add some mechanics later on to help with that, but quick aside, there is no tactical incentive, but there is a much greater incentive. The actual answer as to why you should attack the fighter and not the bard is because you and your friends came here to have fun. When I DM, sometimes I attack the fighter, and sometimes I attack the wizard. Depends what flavor of blood I want that day. A good DM will bash in the skull of each and every one of his friends. It would be pretty unfun of you if you never attacked the fighter, despite the fact your friend built this character to have high AC to absorb a bunch of attacks. But that wouldn't be the most tactical thing to do. They should have built their character better. I'm so glad you're prioritizing the good strategy of your made-up fantasy monsters over your real-life friends' fun. Here, have a towel. You seem a bit too sweaty. But how are we going to keep the monsters attacking our tanky boys when the orc can easily vertical suplex chokeslam the very chokeslammable bard through a table? How do we do it? Give everyone the Sentinel feat? Apply some arbitrary status effect? Summon bees? None of that. I got something more insidious planned. We are going to force the DM to play mind games. Our fighter is going to do absolutely nothing to stop that orc from attacking the bard. The orc can go powerbomb that bard as much as he wants, but our boy will warn that orc if he attacks anyone but the fighter is going to sing Shrek at him. For if he does go attack that bard, he receives Retribution. Retribution is a 5th level ability for barbarians, fighters, monks, and rogues. At the end of your turn, as a free action, you choose a creature within 10 feet of you that you attacked this turn. That creature becomes the target of your Retribution. If that target damages a creature other than you or forces a creature other than you to make a saving throw, the next melee attack you land against that creature is automatically a critical hit. The effect lasts for 1 minute or until you use it on another creature. A creature can only be affected by 1 instance of Retribution at a time. Pair this ability with the magic weapons from earlier and you'll be dicing dudes like onions. I envision this ability as stabbing an enemy in the back that is foolish enough to turn away from you. Oh, you don't think I'm a threat? Okay.
Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. This is the sharpest tool in the shed. You are looking kinda dumb with the sword up in your bum, and I'm gonna turn your guts to shreds. Well, the Yeah, stop coming, they don't stop coming, they don't stop coming, they don't stop coming.
Retribution is the stick in the carrot and stick method. Yes, you do not have to fight the marshal, and you can go for the squishy bard, but don't be surprised when you turn your back on the guy with the pointy stick and he turns you into a shish kebab. The DM is heavily incentivized to keep attacking the marshals to avoid taking massive damage. These are Pokemon trainer rules. We made eye contact. That means we have to fight. You are going to get punished if you focus on anyone other than him. And if you are using the magic weapons that give extra damage dice, a crit is so incredibly brutal. We are pulling aggro not with demand, but with fear. And this is fantastic for barbarians, the class that should be the best tanks in the game, because if you are level 9, you get brutal critical, which lets you crit even harder. So if you walk away from a barbarian,
Don't stop coming, they don't stop coming, they don't stop coming, they don't stop coming.
and as you level up, this ability gets even better. At level 10, at the start of your turn, you can move half your movement speed toward the target of your retribution. At level 15, that extra movement speed increases to your full movement speed. So even if they pull some goofy Roadrunner shit, you are going to painfully teach them about Smash Mouth. So is Retribution supposed to boost the damage numbers of marshals? Not really. I mean, yeah, it can in some situations, but its main purpose is to have enemies focus their attacks on the marshal. Ideally, the marshal won't get to crit anyone because the enemy is focusing on them, which is the point of this ability. As for how many times a day you can use this, 2 times per short rest seems like a good amount. If you want to get crazy with it, you can make it so it has unlimited uses, and marshals can do this as often as they want. My horoscope just says violence. I don't know what that means, so sorry, Orc.
Don't stop coming, they don't stop coming, they don't stop coming.
I think this is a great way for barbarians, fighters, and monks to keep the squishier characters safe. And yeah, this can help the rogue, sort of. Admittedly, this one is an odd fit for rogue, because they probably shouldn't be tanking, but I'm still gonna give it to them, because why not? It's not like it's hurting them. Maybe I'll make a special version of Retribution just for rogue. If you have a way to rework this idea for rogues, let me know in the comments. It might end up in the Google Doc or a video, I don't know. Lightning round for helping marshals tank better. Being able to drink a health potion as a bonus action keeps a character in the fight longer while not slowing down combat. If there is a tanking ability that protects from a single attack, consider changing it so it lasts until the start of your next turn, or at least until the end of a current creature's turn, like how they changed the protection fighting style from the 2014 version to the 2024 version. That goes a very long way. Nerfing the shield spell, we will get to that in another video. Magic armor. In my How You Should Buff Marshals combat video, I talked about how the higher the attack and damage bonus a magic weapon gave could represent how many magical effects that weapon gives you. So a +2 weapon could give 2 magical effects. You can do the same with armor and shields. Like a +3 set of plate armor could give fire resistance, advantage on dexterity saving throws, and damage reduction from all damage sources. Those are just some examples. By the way, if you're interested in supporting the channel, consider joining the Patreon. I got a bunch of playtest material of buffed classes and subclasses, like the Battle Rager Rogue. I know it's supposed to be barbarian. It's a weird one, but I think it's a pretty cool take on it. So consider becoming a patron. And look, I get it. Some of you may not want to become a patron because my Patreon doesn't provide dice that look like they were spattered with blood. But with today's sponsor, D&D Dice, you can get dice that meet that strangely specific desire. D&D Dice has tons of cool dice. They got steampunk dice, dice with duckies in them, dice that look like they were made from a bunch of skulls. These are so cool. They got dice that I think look like they were inscribed by a warlock. These dice are called Tea Party dice. I think if you like these dice, you will love these dice. I feel like the warlock was involved in the making of all 3 of these, but the real question is, what is the order they were made in? If you want some cool dice and want to support the channel, use my link and use code BONEWIZARD in all caps at checkout. The link is down below in the description, and again, use code BONEWIZARD at checkout. If you use the code, it supports me and the channel, and you will get some great dice. And thank you to D&D Dice for sponsoring this video. Shout out to the patrons: Panko6, Beefmaster, Nolan46, Manifesting, Spark Drake, Alex Score, Christopher Cook, Boostro Dog, Hayden Tisthammer, James Spear, Mr. Nobody 13, Owen Hansen, PK Hemi, Poggers Extreme, Seth Naw, Volum, Wet Toaster, Zackaloo, Xander3, Zap4. Thank you guys so much.